The top 25 economies in the world, ranking the richest countries in the world. Gross domestic product (GDP) is an estimate of the total value of finished goods and services produced in a country's borders during a specified period, usually a year. GDP is popularly used to estimate the size of a country's economy. GDP is most commonly measured by using the expenditure method, which calculates GDP by adding up spending on new consumer goods, new investment spending, government spending, and the value of net exports, exports minus imports. Throughout most of the world, countries' GDPs fluctuate with the phases of different economic cycles against the backdrop of longer-term economic growth over time. However, it's interesting to see that despite these ups and downs, the top economies as measured by GDP don't budge easily from the positions that they hold. Compared to the top 25 economies in 2000, our research has found that only two countries in the top 25, Thailand and Indonesia, weren't there before. That said, there have been some big movers within the list. China and India moved up into second place and fifth place, respectively, having been in sixth place and 13th place in 2000. Further down the list, Indonesia, one of the two aforementioned newcomers to the list, vaulted forward from the 27th largest economy in 2000 to 16th in 2020, while Thailand leaped from 32nd place all the way to 24th. While 2020 is the most recent annual data available for these countries, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on economies around the world because it has slashed energy prices, cratered tourism, lowered trade volumes, and shuttered stores due to quarantines. Countries have experienced record-breaking declines in GDP. Although many economies had begun to recover in the third quarter of 2020, the vast majority of the top 25 countries experienced negative GDP growth for the year. This article mentions several popular ways to measure GDP, all of which are drawn from the World Bank database. Nominal GDP in current US dollars. This is the most basic and common way of measuring and comparing GDP among countries, using local prices and currencies converted into US dollars by using currency market exchange rates. This is the number that was used to determine the country's rankings in the top 25 list. Purchasing Power Parity (PPP), adjusted GDP in current international dollars. This is an alternative way of comparing nominal GDP among countries, adjusting currencies based on what basket of goods they could buy in those countries, rather than currency exchange rates. This is a way to adjust for the difference in the cost of living among countries. GDP growth. This is the annual percentage growth rates of nominal GDP in local prices and currencies, which estimates how fast a country's economy is growing. GDP per capita. In current US dollars, this is nominal GDP divided by the number of people in a country. GDP per capita measures how much a country's economy produces per person rather than in total. This can also act as a very rough measure of income or standard of living for individuals living in a country. Percentage share of the global economy. The 168 countries outside the top 25 make up less than a fifth of the total global economy. United States of America accounts for 24.67% of the global economy. China is 17.39%. We have Japan 5.97%. Number 1, United States. The United States economy is the largest in the world as measured by nominal GDP. The biggest contributor to that GDP is the economy's service sector, which includes finance, real estate, insurance, professional and business services, and healthcare. The United States has a relatively open economy, facilitating flexible business investment and foreign direct investment in the country. It is the world's dominant geopolitical power and is able to maintain a large external national debt as the producer of the world's primary reserve currency. The US economy is at the forefront of technology in many industries, but it faces rising threats in the form of economic inequality, rising healthcare and social safety net costs, and deteriorating infrastructure. Number 2 is China. China has the world's second largest nominal GDP in current dollars and the largest in terms of PPP, with annual growth that consistently outpaces that of the United States. China may be on track to become the largest economy in the world by nominal GDP in the years to come. As China has progressively opened its economy over the past 4 decades, economic development and living standards have greatly improved. As the government has gradually phased out collectivized agriculture and industry, allowed greater flexibility for market prices, and increased the autonomy of businesses, foreign and domestic trade and investment have taken off. Coupled with an industrial policy that encourages domestic manufacturing, this has made China the world's number 1 exporter. Despite these advantages, China faces some significant challenges, such as a rapidly aging population and severe environmental degradation. Number 3, Japan. Japan is the third largest economy in the world. Its GDP crossed the 5 trillion mark in 2019. Strong cooperation between government and this industry and advanced technological know-how have built Japan's manufacturing and export-oriented economy. Many major Japanese businesses are organized as networks of interlinked companies known as keiretsu. After the lost decade of the 1990s and the impact of the global Great Recession, Japan has seen an uptick in growth in recent years under the policies of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. However, Japan is poor in natural resources and dependent on energy imports, especially after the general shutdown of its nuclear power industry following the 2011 Fukushima disaster. Japan has also struggled with a rapidly aging population. Number 4, Germany. Fourth among world economies is Germany, with a 2020 GDP of 3.85 trillion. Germany is also Europe's largest economy. Germany is a top exporter of vehicles, machinery, chemicals, and other manufactured goods and has a highly skilled workforce. Germany, however, faces some demographic challenges to its economic growth. Its low fertility rate makes replacing its aging workforce more difficult, and its high levels of net immigration strain its social welfare system. Number 5, United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has the 5th largest economy in the world. It had a GDP of 2.83 trillion in 2019, down 9.7% from the prior year. The UK economy is driven by its large service sector, particularly in finance, insurance, and business services. The nation's extensive trading relationship between continental Europe has been greatly complicated by the resolution of Brexit, subsequent to the 2016 vote to leave the European Union. As of January 31st, 2020, the UK is officially not a member of the EU, but contentious negotiations over trade relations between the two are ongoing.